Good morning, dear ones. Thank you all so much for joining us this morning, and welcome to Temple Buddhist Center's Sunday meditation service. My name is Victor, and I am honored to be of service this morning. We hope that this morning finds you all very happy and healthy, but please know also that if you are struggling for any reason, we hope that Temple Buddhist Center and our service this morning can be a source of refuge for you as we open our hearts to you and your loved ones. We are excited to be able to celebrate our services in person once again. We want to do so as safely as possible, of course. And so masks are required through the end of the month. And we appreciate your part in helping us to keep our whole Sangha safe and healthy. So let's begin this morning with a few conscious breaths, taking a few moments to ground, to experience the body, to breathe together. Conscious breathing is where you seal the mouth, breathe deeply through the nose, pause for just a few moments, and then release that breath slowly so that the exhale is longer than the inhale. Let's begin. Holding that breath for a moment, keeping the shoulders relaxed and dropped. And release. And as you release, bring your awareness to the body. What's present in the body this morning at this time? Whatever it is, an excitement, an anxiety, perhaps a sense of ease, or even a sense of restlessness. Whatever it is, we embrace the truth of this moment, not our thoughts about the way we wish things were. And a second conscious breath together. Holding, feeling the fullness of the lungs. And releasing. And as you release, giving yourself permission to just unplug from the energy of getting up this morning and getting ready, perhaps caring for furry loved ones or whatever your morning ritual required of you. So as we release that connection to the energy of doing, accomplishing, struggling, striving, we embrace the energy of just being. That energy that requires nothing of us. It is only the aliveness of being. And a third conscious breath together. And releasing. And as you release, being present in the here and the now, bringing our awareness to this moment. And here at Temple Buddhist Center, we like to begin our services with a little bit of chanting. Chanting is an integral part of every tradition. Chanting's not about being a singer, it's about having a voice. It is about an expression from deep within to deep without, from a sacredness within us and sharing that with the universe. Our chant this morning is Om Mani Dewa Ze, Om Mani Dewa Ze. And this is a chant that enhances compassion and honors the Buddha of limitless light. And so we will tone in with Christine. Together. Om Mani Dewa Ze. 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 once more. Om Mami Dewa Ze. And so Tiffany and the kids have come in to join us for chanting. Hi, you guys. Welcome, welcome. So glad you came in. Tiffany, what's on the agenda today?
Emotional awareness in our bodies.
Emotional awareness in our bodies. I can see one little body has an emotion of excitement right now. Yes, wonderful, and some movement besides. All right, well, thank you guys so much for joining us. So awesome to have your energy and your presence with us this morning. And so before we begin, just a quick reminder that at the altar at the back of the meditation hall, there are cough drops if you've got a tickle in your throat. There are devices to assist with hearing. There's also blankets and tissues back there. And we also want to welcome all of our friends joining us from around the world as our 9 o'clock meditation service is live streamed. So welcome to everybody joining us online as well as here in the meditation hall. Here at TBC, we practice Western-style Buddhism, a blend of Eastern philosophy and Western psychology. And this new and exciting form of spirituality is dynamic. It's changing with us. It is active, it is inclusive, and focuses on core Buddhist insights, as well as mindfulness, meditation, and their practical applications in our daily lives. Our goal here is not to get everyone to agree on a specific lineage or philosophy or sect of Buddhism, but rather on a shared experience of mindfulness, oneness, and love, whether we are chanting together, sharing from the heart, or spending time in noble silence. We respect that you will participate at a level that is comfortable for you. We take refuge in the 3 jewels and acknowledge these core values as expressions of the awakened mind, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. We value awareness of our Buddha nature, as well as the Buddha nature of all beings, helping to bring a fresh new perspective to each and every precious moment. And the second jewel, which is the Dharma, the truth teachings that release us from fear and illusion and help us to realize the true nature of who we are. And of course, the third jewel, our Sangha, our spiritual community, where we come together in all sorts of situations, whether it's Sunday morning meditation service or our classes or even just our social programs. We come together to help each other along every step of the path and to practice the teachings. And so, with that being said, we prepare now for, if you have any cell phones or electronic devices, let's take a moment to silence those. If you're at home, whatever you need to do to prepare yourself for a time in meditation, a time of stillness and noble silence. And so, take a moment to stretch or get the wiggles out, as Nicoya often says, as we prepare first for the prayer of refuge, which should be on your screen. We will recite the prayer 3 times out loud together. Let's begin. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. And so, as we prepare now for a time in meditation, if you have an extensive practice, then we invite you to practice in a way that is fitting for you this morning. If, however, you might be new to meditation, we're going to begin with a dedication of intention. We will awaken the bell 3 times for the 3 jewels, and then our TBC teacher, Ms. Nicoya Helm, will guide us in a brief guided meditation that is designed to assist you in moving into the stillness. We will spend approximately 10 to 12 minutes this morning connecting with each other in consciousness, in noble silence. And then afterwards, Nicoya she will bring us out of, lovingly bring us out of meditation. We will sound the return bell, and then it will be time for today's Dharma talk, or teaching. And so, with a conscious breath together, body, speech, and mind, in perfect oneness, I send my heart along with the sound of the bell. May the hearers awaken from forgetfulness, transcend the path of anxiety and sorrow, and realize the true nature of who they are.
If you already have an established practice, I invite you to begin practicing now in whatever way is fitting. Otherwise, I invite you to consider for a moment your motivation, your inspiration, your purpose for being here right now in this moment and taking the time to look within with courage, with confidence. So answer for yourself. I'm here today to meditate because, and fill in that blank. Let the answer to that question be the source, the springboard for your enthusiastic effort. And remembering that we each have a Buddha nature, call to your body that confidence, that playfulness, that wisdom, that inherent stability and bright awareness. Sit like a Buddha. And to help support opening to that attitude, embodying that attitude of relaxed but bright awareness, you may wish to invite in a nice open breath. Imagine it lifting the crown of the head up and away from the shoulders with energy. And then as you release it, slowly settle in as the body settles. Now I invite you to think of a word or a phrase that represents goodness, positivity. Could be just a simple word, could be a short prayer, a chant. Something that brings to mind positive qualities. Just let that phrase begin to repeat itself silently in your mind's ear. Over and over. There's no need to create any special experience. It's enough to become fascinated by the sound as it ebbs and flows. The word begins, the word flows, the word ends, maybe turning into a phrase. And so in this way, this phrase becomes our anchor, our focus. We may even imagine that our entire consciousness begins to rest just in this sound in our mind's ear. Letting external sound, sights, body sensations, emotions be there, but just float in the background. While the sound of good repeats ceaselessly in our mind's ear. You may notice that as soon as we try to turn attention and generate this positive phrase or word, the mind offers us the opposite. The mind loves to work in contrast. That's a natural phenomenon. But for now, just for these few minutes together, return to hearing good. Good work. Now I invite you to let go of intentionally repeating that positive word or phrase. See if you can expand awareness to include wherever you see mental images, your mind's eye, and into the sensations of the body, particularly emotional sensations, and just notice if there's any impact, if there's been any interaction between hearing good, hearing this positive phrase, and the other sense gates. Maybe nothing, maybe subtle, maybe very noticeable. Just noticing what is and acknowledging that. And then expanding awareness to include external sounds. And then beginning to gently open the eyes if they're closed to orient to visual space. And after the bell sounds, feeling free to maintain any mindful momentum as we transition to a time of interaction, realizing it's not an ending of meditation. It's just a transition into a different way of being together and being aware. And then feeling free, of course, to, after the sounding of the bell, adjust and stretch and resettle. Welcome, as I always like to say, it is well that you have come. I always prefer to interact with live people rather than just talking in a room by myself. And I'm getting some feedback that the sound might not be loud enough. We have a good volume from the people in the back? Okay, excellent, thank you. I'll try and use my playground voice, as Victor likes to say. So this is a pep talk. But the pep in this talk may not be the pep that you're thinking of, that extra little boost of energy or enthusiasm. The PEP in this talk is an acronym, and it stands for Personal Enlightenment Project. And the Personal Enlightenment Project is my name for a particular stance or attitude towards meditation in particular, but it can kind of extend to spiritual practice in general. But it's a stance or attitude that approaches meditation as a step-by-step project that, if pursued with enough effort, will result in a solution. What type of solution? Well, the solution to all of our problems. In other words, the end of suffering, or what we think suffering is at that given moment when we decide to embark on the Personal Enlightenment Project. And that may sound like kind of a sarcastic definition, but I also want to say that the Personal Enlightenment Project is a very good thing. It is a great and useful thing until it isn't. So when is it useful? Well, in my own experience, it was very, very useful when I first walked in the doors here at Temple Buddhist Center well over 20 years ago now. And I had a lot of problems in my life. I was in the process of recovering from an eating disorder, had a lot of anxiety and depression going on, all tied up with that. And I wanted some answers. I wanted some solutions. I needed some things fixed. And so a personal enlightenment project, something that I could follow step by step, sit down, take a posture, do this with your mind, this many minutes, this many times a week. Great. That gave me a sense of structure and a purpose, a path to follow. And the fact that I was looking for answers to my own personal suffering was highly motivating. And I'm guessing that you can probably relate. There's not much that's more motivating to each of us than solving our own personal, getting out of our own personal boiling pot of water. And so that's where the Personal Enlightenment Project really shines, when we're first getting on the path, first learning to meditate, because it gives a sense of progress, it gives a sense of structure, it gives a sense of motivation that we might not otherwise have if we start to, if we try to go to the big picture, the more grandiose themes right out of the gate. And it was also personally very helpful for me, but over and over I've seen this be very helpful for others, in that building that foundation, having that motivation to just keep going step by step, build the daily practice, build the momentum, that allowed me to build a solid foundation from which to engage in some healing. I needed to get some basic things healed before I could really move any deeper on the spiritual path, or even just in mindfulness meditation. And so that is where that P.E.P, that Personal Enlightenment Project, really shines. But I also think it can work like training wheels on a bicycle. All right, so if you've seen training wheels, you've got your wheel on the back and you've got these two little wheels that come off on either side. So when you start to move your balance, ideally you don't fall all the way over. That little wheel kind of bounces and helps you get back in the center. And so the Personal Enlightenment Project is like that. And training wheels are really great until they're not. And when they're not is when we gain that confidence, we've learned how to balance the bicycle, and now we want to go faster, we want to go further, we want to turn sharper, we want to take on more adventurous terrain. And that adventurous terrain might have shrubs or sticks or rocks that are going to catch those wheels, or if we turn too sharp, that wheel doesn't hold us up anymore, it actually catches on the ground and kind of pulls us over. And so at a certain point, those training wheels start to slow us down. And we need to take them off if we really want to get going. And so that was also my example, my personal experience was that I found that after a certain amount of due diligence in my practice, I could sit, I could get very concentrated. I was pretty stable in that, but I wasn't necessarily experiencing the benefits of that off of the cushion in my daily life. And it was because I had sort of boxed myself into, this is the time when meditation happens, and meditation is what provides all the answers and the solutions. But then I wouldn't know how to get that same access when I was maybe having a really rough conversation with my boss at work. And so it was time to take the training wheels off so I could take that foundation that I had developed in the container of the Personal Enlightenment Project and really start to move beyond it and really see the bigger picture. And there's a spiritual teacher named Adyashanti who talks particularly about the danger of the personal part of the Personal Enlightenment Project, in that if we only view meditation as a way of solving our own personal problems, then it can start to become a sort of narcissistic endeavor. And then we just get stuck. And we there can be benefits. There are good benefits. There can still be, we hear stories of mindfulness being used for all sorts of peak performance enhancement. But then if you look at the ways that performance is being used, you start to wonder about maybe some of the bigger picture behind that. Like, is it just being used to learn to become a better marksman and for military purposes? Complex question. Right? But if we can't get beyond that, then we definitely miss the bigger potential of spiritual growth that meditation can provide the foundation for. And inherently, awakening, or what we call enlightenment, I tend to prefer awakening, but it's really your preference. It involves moving beyond a sense of self that has a sharp distinction between me and you, self and other, and starting to realize a sense of self where that separation doesn't exist. And that awakening to that involves awakening to the understanding that my personal suffering is interconnected with yours and with all beings ultimately. And awakening involves not just hearing that and thinking about it and being able to see it intellectually, but embodying that, really deeply knowing it in our bones. And this becomes very clear the more and more we let go of the personal part of the Enlightenment project, and we begin to see that we're all connected. This is what the Plum Village tradition and under Thich Nhat Hanh calls interbeing. And so we begin to realize that, yes, beginning with my own personal suffering, it's a great starting place, but this is where the Bodhisattva vow of vowing to work for the awakening of all begins to take shape, because we realize that I cannot be truly free of suffering until all are truly free of suffering, because I am connected to all of you. We all interact. And I began to see that in my own personal practice, in my personal healing, when I began to see the layers of how my suffering had been shaped by the suffering of the people who I knew and I loved and who helped shape me as a being as I was growing up. And I realized that if they had never had that, or they were able to skillfully release their burdens, I would have had a very different interaction with them. And so that's the removal, or hopefully what we benefit by taking off that personal training wheel. But there's another training wheel, and it's the project word. And project implies completion, steps, and an end game, an end point, achieving something, and kind of a straight line forward. That approach can lead to some certain limitations as well. The first one is that it can lead to a sort of over-efforting. And if you think about it, when you've tried to learn any new skill, you realize, there's the famous thing, you see a kid like really holding that pencil and kind of grinding it into paper, and the tongue starts to stick out. It's like all this other tension is arising in the body that's totally unnecessary to write. Riding a bicycle, right? We call it white knuckling. It's that every little thing. As we gain more confidence, we realize we can let go of some of that energy. And I like to think about it also like a belt that's too tight, right? So it's like when our belt's too tight, we can't really I love Victor's phrase, liberate the belly, right? And so having that project mentality can sort of it can prevent the liberation of our consciousness into what is truly unfolding. As John Kabat-Zinn in his classic book says, the full catastrophe, right? Everything that's there. There's also this idea that can be fostered with that project perspective, that awakening is something that can only happen in the future, after you've checked off a certain number of boxes. You've sat in meditation for a certain number of hours, you've gone on a certain number of retreats, you've laid this required groundwork. And that future focus causes us to be blind to the fact that every moment that is now has everything we need for awakening. And that seems very counterintuitive. But if you start to pay attention to the spiritual writings and the teachings, to the Dharma that is out there, this is what we hear over and over again. And it's the reason that meditation practice is focused on becoming present to now, because that is the only place that awakening can happen. And there are some really good counterexamples for this idea that awakening can only happen in a project mode. And this is the evidence of people who have had spontaneous awakenings, people who with no spiritual background or training, they weren't seeking it. Eckhart Tolle, sitting on a park bench, all of a sudden looked around and the veil was pulled back. The connection was there. He saw interbeing. Struggled to put language to it for a long time. Byron Katie is another well-known teacher who reports that her enlightenment, her awakening to this bigger sense of reality was spontaneous. And she really struggled to put it into words for a long time because she didn't have any framework for it. And even if we have taken the training wheels off, even if we've let go of the personal and the project part of our movement towards awakening or our meditation practice, we can still find ourselves falling back into that habit or sometimes needing to go back to it. And I experienced this recently in my own practice where I had taken a class and I was like working with this teacher and a lot of stuff was really starting to come up, and instead of saying, okay, I should try and shape my practice or modify, I should let go of the training wheels and open up to this, I was like, nope, got to sit at this time of day, 1 hour, it's got to be this combination of techniques, X, Y, Z. And I was really struggling. I could kind of feel it, like my meditation practice started to feel like I was white knuckling a bicycle. And I talked to a meditation mentor about this, and she said, when you're describing this, I wonder what might happen if you integrated this approach or if you tried this. And as soon as she started listing these things, I was like, there it is. I got stuck on the project part of the personal enlightenment project. I was trying to check some boxes without really seeing what was right in front of me. And so at this point, you might be wondering, okay, well, I hear that sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good, and that sometimes I might need to let go and shift out of the personal enlightenment project. How do I know? How do I know? Well, the sort of flip answer is, you'll know when you know. Sort of like when you're riding the bike with the training wheels, you kind of know. But of course, if you've watched anybody learn to ride a bike with training wheels, I have lots of nieces and nephews, I've got to see all the variations. There's a whole spectrum of experience with that. There is the kid who's like begging to have the training wheels off, like within the first block that they successfully ride, sort of semi-balanced. They're like, get these things off. Okay. And then there's the other kid that's like, I just really want to keep them on a little bit longer, even though the parent is sitting there saying, I noticed they haven't actually touched the ground in several weeks. No, I just one more week, And so you'll know it when you know it, but there are some things that you can put into place, some structures that help make that transition happen a little more smoothly and maybe help you know that you're ready to transition out of that sooner than you might realize on your own. And If you've ever looked at retreat practice, if you've ever had the experience of going on a retreat, or if you have read about or heard about monastic practice, that structure is already built in. But as Western practitioners of Buddhism, in a modern Western style of Buddhism, or even just a modern Western mindfulness practice, we sometimes have trouble putting that structure in place. And so that's why our practice can sort of, kind of meander for a while before we really start to move out of the personal part of it. And so I like to use as a model Shinzen Young's 4 pillars of practice. And I like to use this because it's a modern perspective. It hits all the important aspects, and it's simple to remember. And the great news is also, if you're really drawn to the project part, it gives you a project to start out with, because you need to build your pillars. So the 4 pillars of a solid, stable meditation practice are, first of all, a regular, hopefully daily, but definitely more than 0 days a week, meditation practice. If possible, retreat practice. And that doesn't mean you have to go off to some fancy retreat location for months at a time or weeks at a time. It could be just finding a few hours of solitude in your own home, or joining here. We offer quarterly day-long retreats here at Temple Buddhist Center that you can join virtually from your own home. And there are lots of different offerings thanks to the joy of the internet these days. So regular meditation practice, daily practice, retreat practice, a time of slightly more focus, a little bit more oomph. And then the other 2 pillars are more outward focus, and those are getting support and giving support. And those can look a lot of different ways as well. If you're here right now, you're getting support. If you're listening to this talk later than when it's filmed, you're getting support. You're taking in the teachings. That could be, interacting, sharing in community, in Sangha. It could be working with a one-on-one mentor. It could be just having a spiritual buddy that you have a shared language about, that you can talk about your practice with. And that giving support goes the same way. And the interesting thing about those 2 pillars, well, the 4 pillars are nice because they balance each other out, right? There's the inward, the personal side, but then there's that outward focus that begins to take us beyond the personal to the interpersonal. And if you've ever, had somebody say, "Oh, I think you have a little something on your face, or a little something stuck in your teeth," and you're like, "Did I get it? No. Did I get it?" If somebody just holds up a mirror to you, it's like really easy to find the thing that's stuck to your face or stuck in your teeth. Well, when we get support from each other and we give support to each other, we become that mirror in our practice. And so it becomes that much easier. Like when I was describing my practice to my mentor, and as soon as she held up that mirror, I was like, there it is. And so the Personal Enlightenment Project is there as long as you need it. If it's motivating to you, great. If it provides the support and the structure that you need, great. But when you start to realize, I've given this a good try, but I think I'm getting stuck. Remember those 4 pillars, and if you already have them in place, all the better, because you're already going to have someone or a community that you can check in with and say, I think I'm ready to let go of this approach and step into something a little bit bigger, a little deeper, a little broader, a little more vast. And so with that, may you build your practice pillars with enthusiasm and ease. And in doing so, build space for not just your awakening, but for the awakening of all beings.
So let's take a moment to just embody the teachings, perhaps releasing the mind's machinations, trying to grasp hold or figure out, and just breathe in and feel the resonance. And if necessary, you can shift your posture or make an adjustment as we move into loving kindness practice or metta practice. And so we will begin with a conscious breath together. And as you release, I invite you to bring to mind the image of you, a full body image of the form that has been given your name, that has accrued the many experiences over the years. Some people like to place their hand on their heart or an Anjali mudra just to embody this practice. And as you hold this image of you in your mind's eye, recite silently to yourself these words of metta practice. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be safe from inner and outer dangers. May I be well in body and mind. And may I be at ease and happy. Conscious breath. And as you release, I invite you now to bring to mind the image of a friend of yours. And holding this image in your mind's eye, let us send to this friend loving kindness. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. And may you be at ease and happy. Conscious breath. And as you release that sentiment into the universe, I invite you now to bring to mind the image of an acquaintance, perhaps somebody from a Zoom class or a passerby or a clerk or cashier. And holding this image in your mind's eye, let us send to them metta. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. And may you be at ease and happy. Conscious breath. And as we release that sentiment into the universe, I invite you now to bring to your mind's eye the image of a difficult person in your life, a challenging person, perhaps a boss or a coworker, a neighbor, classmate, or a political figure. And holding this image in your mind's eye, let us send to them metta. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. And may you be at ease and happy. Conscious breath. And as you release that sentiment into the universe, I invite you now to bring to mind the image of the world, all the plants and the flowers and the trees, animals of the land, the sea, the sky, and all sentient beings. Holding this image in your mind's eye, let us send to them all loving kindness. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. And may you be at ease and happy. Conscious breath. And as we release that sentiment into the universe, and in the true spirit of dana, the Buddhist practice of generosity, temple services here are given freely. In the same way, if you choose to give, please give with a generous heart, which means not in return for anything that you have received today, but instead, rather, for those that may be seeking refuge, they may find it here, in this temple, with these teachers, with these teachings, and with this Sangha. And we take a moment of gratitude as our hearts fill with gratitude for this opportunity to come together, gratitude for all of our ambassadors, those folks who have committed themselves to regular monthly electronic giving. It's not about the amount, it's just that the regular monthly giving helps us to set a budget here at TBC. And if you would like to become an ambassador, please stop by our website, templebuddhistcenter.com, and just click on the Love Offering button. Or you can also text Unity Temple to 77977. Also, our hearts filled with gratitude for all of our wonderful volunteers. There are so many now that help us to create opportunities for our community to have workshops and get-togethers and live streams and websites, and there's just so many. So thank you to all of our volunteers for everything that you do to help our Sangha to thrive. Thank you so much to Christine for your beautiful music. Thank you so much also to Nicoya for your wonderful knowledge of the Dharma, sharing your practice and your heart with all of us as you do so well. And especially thank you to each and every one of you for sharing your heart and your presence and your practice with us here at Temple Buddhist Center. We are the better for it. And so as we prepare now to formally end our time together with the bodhicitta dedication, we'll recite this together. And then if you have just a few moments, I have a couple of special announcements. And so our bodhicitta dedication together. May the pure, brilliant sun of bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion unstoppably until all are illumined and awakened. And with the palms of our hands together in front of our hearts, as we go forth from this place, may you enter each moment in innocence, guided by the wisdom of your heart. And as we open our hands, open our eyes, shine our light into the world. Namaste. Thank you again, everyone, so much for being here today. Just a couple of things. We have a regular program going now. The first Sunday of every month is our Helping Hands Sunday. And this is a combined program between Unity Temple and Temple Buddhist Center as we prepare little care packages for the homeless in our community. So each person is encouraged to take one. And as you go about through your week, if you happen to see someone on a corner or just anywhere that you encounter a person experiencing homelessness, please feel free to share that bag with them. Also, don't forget our post-service discussion group every Sunday at 10:15, right down the hall to the left as you go out the doors, and also online is our post-service discussion group. And as always, our wonderful lending library is right here and available to each and every one of you to go over and share in the Dharma that others have shared with us by bringing those books back to us. Also, if you're interested in any of the wonderful tree planting and seed saving and categorizing, as well as park cleanup programs, please contact Jim McGraw for our Temple Green team. And his email is just jim.mcgraw, MCGRAW, at mcckc.edu. And also coming up October 23rd is our mental health first aid class that Nicoya and I will be sharing with folks. And there is also, starting November 3rd and 10th, Nicoya is going to be leading a Basics of Meditation class. This is a group that has organically sprouted out of our Basics of Buddhism class. So we hope that you can attend either one of these, but please know that we plan on continuing to offer both the Basics of Buddhism and the Basics of Meditation classes in different forms as we go through the months. And then finally, coming up here at the end of October is Contemplative Movement in the form of Tai Chi Cha. And so that's going to be available to us both online and in person. So you'll be able to see more about that at our website or on our Facebook. All right. Thank you, everyone. Oh, don't forget to sign up for our newsletter and stuff on the reception desk out front. And as you go into your day, peace, blessings, and I'm not saying goat cheese. I'm saying go Chiefs. So peace, blessings, and go Chiefs.